The sky above Nearest 9 burned orange as smoke rose from the nearby city. Crystal towers once glowing with soft light now lay in ruins. The Kaleri, tall and graceful beings with silver-blue skin and glowing eyes, stood in silence. Their world, once peaceful, was falling. High Seer Teleri stood at the edge of the star spire, her hands trembling. Below, hundreds of Kaleri gathered, eyes full of fear. She pressed her hand to the communicator. The message had been ready for weeks, but they had hoped it wouldn't come to this. She spoke clearly, her voice echoing through the spire. To any who still believe in mercy, we beg you, help us. The Zyrith Dominion is destroying our world. We are not warriors. We are farmers, builders, dreamers. We offer no riches, only our friendship. If you hear this, please, don't let us die alone. The message left the planet on a pulse of light, racing across galaxies. It reached thousands of worlds, some advanced, some ancient, some hidden in shadow. No one answered. The Keldari Empire turned away. Not our problem, their leaders said. The Zuron Collective laughed. Let them burn. We gain nothing by saving them. Even the peaceful Lythan Order chose silence. We cannot risk war. But on Earth, someone listened. In a small command center aboard Earth's orbital station, a man leaned over the console. He was tall, with a rough beard, worn jacket, and tired eyes. His name was Elias Merrick, former combat engineer, now part of Earth's Peace Envoy program. The message repeated again on the screen. Elias watched it quietly. Others in the room shook their heads. We don't have the ships, one officer said. We're not ready for intergalactic war, said another. But Elias stood. Then send one ship. The room fell silent. You'd go alone? The commander asked. Elias nodded. I've seen people left behind before. I'm not letting it happen again. 2 days later, Elias's ship, the Sparrow, left Earth's orbit. It wasn't large. Just enough for 5 people, some supplies, and a few drones. But it was fast, and more importantly, it had heart. His crew was small. Dr. Linyaros, a young science officer with sharp eyes and sharper words. Rick Volan, former pilot, now a sarcastic mechanic. D1M, a repurposed Earth combat drone with a curious mind. And Elias, the man leading a mission no one else believed in. They traveled through folded space, skipping across star systems. As they neared Nearest 9, the view outside turned dark. Wreckage floated in the void, ships destroyed, stations broken. Elias gripped the controls. We're almost there, he said. Get ready. Linya looked at the ruined ships. You sure about this? No, Elias said, but someone has to be. On Nearest 9, High Seer Teleri stood by the comm screen. Another day, another silence. She was about to shut it off when the screen blinked. A message came through. This is Elias Merrick of Earth. We heard your call. We're coming. Teleri's eyes filled with tears. Around her, the Kaleri gathered. Who are they? One asked. Teleri whispered, a people we've never met, and the only ones who answered. Far above the planet, the Earth ship appeared, breaking through the clouds. Help had arrived. The sky of Nearest 9 shimmered with violet clouds as Elias Merrick's ship broke through the atmosphere. The Sparrow shook slightly, buffeted by strong winds, but the controls held steady in his hands. Touchdown in 30 seconds, Rick Volan called from the co-pilot seat. Let's hope they don't shoot us out of the sky. Linyaros muttered. Elias glanced at her. Let's hope they still believe in trust. Outside the window, a wide valley opened below. Crystalline towers stretched upward like glass trees. Some were cracked and broken. Others still glowed with soft, pulsing energy. Fires burned near the horizon where the Zereth had struck. Fields lay scorched. Roads were empty. Elias guided the ship toward a large open platform surrounded by tall spires. As the Sparrow landed, a group of Kaleri approached. They moved gracefully, dressed in long robes that shimmered in the light. Their faces showed no emotion, but their glowing eyes never blinked. The ramp lowered with a hiss. Elias stepped out first, holding his hands open. "I'm Elias Merrick," he said calmly. "We heard your message." High Seer Teleri stepped forward. She was tall, calm, and carried herself like someone used to silence. Her voice was smooth but firm. "I am Teleri, High Seer of Narration 9. You are the only ones who answered. Why?" Elias looked around at the ruined buildings, the pale faces, the tired eyes. "Because someone had to." There was a long pause. Then Teleri nodded. "Come, there is much you must see." Inside the city, the Earth crew saw what war had done. Buildings lay broken, families huddled in corners. The Kaleri had no weapons, no army. Their technology was advanced, but it had been built for peace, not war. In a large hall made of crystal and metal, Teleri showed them a star map. "The Zyrith Dominion grows each year. We are in their path now," she said. "They want our energy crystals. They will not stop." "They don't want peace?" Linya asked. "No, only control." Elias studied the map. "We can help build defenses, shields, traps, ground patrols. But we don't have an army. We'll need to train yours." Teleri's eyes glowed softly. "We have none." Elias paused. "Then we'll start from nothing." Outside the city, Elias and his crew began working. Rick set up small defense drones around the perimeter. Linya worked with Kaleri engineers to repair broken generators. Elias started training a small group of Kaleri volunteers, mostly young, scared, but willing. He taught them how to move quietly, how to hold a weapon, how to listen. At first, it was hard. The Kaleri were peaceful by nature. They hesitated. They stumbled. One day, during training, a loud sound echoed through the valley. A Zyrith scout ship. "Get down," Elias shouted. The ship fired a warning shot into the ground, scattering dust and rock. The Kaleri froze. Elias grabbed a launcher from his bag, aimed carefully, and hit one of the ship's wings. Smoke poured out as it crashed behind a hill. Cheers broke out among the Kaleri. "You stood your ground," Elias said, turning to them. "Next time, you'll fight even better." From a distance, Teleri watched in silence. That evening, Teleri met Elias at the edge of the city. "You risked much to come here," she said, "even knowing we might not trust you." Elias looked at the stars. "Where I'm from, we've made a lot of mistakes. But we still try to do better. That's why I'm here." Teleri nodded slowly. Perhaps hope is not gone from the galaxy after all. Far above, among the stars, a dark shape moved silently. Overseer Varnak watched from the bridge of his command ship. "So," he growled, "Earth has sent a dog to bark for the weak." He turned to his officers. "Let them bark. Soon, they will beg." Morning came with a deep red sky over Narration 9. The sun rose slowly through the haze of smoke that still lingered from past Zyrith attacks. Elias stood on the outer wall of the city, watching the horizon. Every day, he expected a fleet to arrive. Every day, they had only silence. Below, the training fields were active. The Kaleri moved through drills, guided by Elias and Linya. Their progress was steady. They still hesitated, but less each time. Fear was slowly turning into strength. But inside the city, not everyone agreed with what Elias was doing. High Seer Teleri met with her council in the Crystal Hall. The council was made up of older Kaleri leaders, scholars, healers, and builders. "We are not soldiers," one said. "This path leads only to ruin. They train us to fight like the Zyrith," another warned. "Are we becoming what we fear?" Teleri raised a hand for silence. "The humans did not come to conquer us," she said. "They came because we asked. Now we must decide if we stand or fall." Meanwhile, Elias was busy checking supplies with Rick in the ship's cargo bay. We're running low on everything, Rick grumbled. Food packs, power cells, even med kits. Earth's not sending more. They won't risk starting a war, Elias said. We knew that. So what's the plan? Elias looked out toward the city. We hold. We train. We make what we need ourselves. Rick sighed. Then let's hope these glass people are fast learners. Later that night, D1M, the cruise drone, picked up a strange signal from within the city. It was weak, encrypted, and hidden under normal comm traffic. Elias, curious, traced the signal to a quiet research building near the edge of the city. Inside, he found someone he didn't expect. Velith, a Kaluri scientist. She looked up, startled. You shouldn't be here, she said. Elias crossed his arms. You sent a signal. Who were you contacting? Velith hesitated, then finally said, Overseer Varnek. Elias's jaw tightened. You told him we're here? I warned him not to destroy the city, she said quickly. I offered information to buy us time. You gave him a map of the defenses, Elias said sharply. That's not time. That's a death sentence. Velith's voice shook. You don't understand. We've never won a war. The Xyreth are stronger, faster, ruthless. I thought surrender might save lives. Elias was quiet for a long moment. I get it, he said softly. Fear makes people do desperate things, but helping the enemy isn't the answer. He didn't arrest her. He didn't shame her. Instead, he turned and walked away. The next day, Velith came to the training field on her own. She picked up a practice weapon and joined the others. High above, aboard the Xyreth ship, Overseer Varnek stood before a large screen. A blurry image of Elias appeared, taken from the signal Velith had sent. So, Varnek said, narrowing his eyes, this is the human who teaches them to resist. He turned to his second in command. Prepare the fleet. Let's show them what resistance brings. That evening, Teleri met with Elias on a quiet balcony overlooking the valley. You knew about the betrayal, she asked. I did, Elias said. But she came back. She chose to stay. That matters more. Teleri looked at him with quiet respect. Your people are strange, but you have given us something we forgot. What's that? Courage. From the horizon, a sharp light blinked in the sky, small at first, then growing larger. Linya stepped outside and pointed. Elias, that's not a star. The Xyreth fleet was coming. The warning sirens echoed through the Kaluri city. Red lights flashed along the crystal towers. People ran to shelters. Children were carried by frightened parents. And the sky turned black. The Xyreth fleet had arrived. Dozens of sleek, dark warships hovered above Narration 9. They moved like predators, silent and cold. Smaller dropships broke off and began to descend toward the surface. On the outer wall, Elias stood beside Teleri, staring up at the sky. This is it, he said. Teleri nodded. We are ready. Elias rushed to the command center. Linya and Rick were already inside. There are at least 20 warships in orbit, Linya said, scanning the data. And more on the way. We can't fight them ship to ship, Rick said. Our drones won't last 10 seconds. Then we hit them where they land. Elias replied. We hold the city. No matter what. He turned to D1M. Activate all traps and auto turrets. Get the Kaluri units into position. D1M beeped. Defense systems online. The first Xyreth dropships landed on the far edge of the valley. Soldiers in black armor poured out, tall and armored, their glowing visors flashing red. They moved in perfect formation, fast and deadly. Elias gave the order. Wait until they pass the ridge. Now. Explosives hidden in the rocks blew the lead Xyreth units into the air. Smoke and fire filled the air. Kaluri fighters sprang from cover, guided by Earth crew. It was chaos. Blasters, shouting, explosions. For the first time in their history, the Kaluri were fighting. In the middle of the battle, Elias sprinted across the field, helping pull wounded back to cover. One young Kaleri had fallen behind. A Xyrath soldier raised a blade. Elias fired, dropping the enemy in a single shot. The young Kaleri looked up at him in shock. "You're okay," Elias said, helping him up. "You stay behind me." Inside the city, Talari and her council worked to keep the civilians calm. Medical drones flew between buildings, delivering supplies. The once silent people of Neris 9 were now shouting orders, moving fast, acting like a true defense force. Linya worked non-stop to keep the city shield active. Sparks flew from her console. "This thing wasn't built for full-scale war," she yelled. "Neither were we," Talari replied, "but we're still standing." Near the eastern wall, a large Xyrath walker approached, a towering machine with heavy cannons. It fired once, and part of the wall exploded. Rick and D1M rushed to a mounted launcher. "I've got one shot," Rick shouted. He aimed, fired. The missile hit the walker dead center, sending it crashing into a tower. "Boom," Rick said, brushing dust off his jacket. "That's teamwork." But the battle wasn't over. From the sky, a dark shadow descended slowly. It was Overseer Varnak's personal ship. It landed just beyond the battlefield. The ramp dropped. Varnak stepped out. He was tall, armored head to toe, his face hidden behind a dark mask. His voice, deep and cold, rang out across the valley. "You dare defy the Xyrath Dominion." Elias stepped forward. He was dusty, bruised, and tired. But he didn't flinch. "We don't kneel to tyrants." Varnak raised a finger, and his soldiers surged forward. The fighting grew worse. Elias was cut off from his team. A blast sent him flying across the ground. He groaned, struggling to stand. A Xyrath soldier raised a weapon. Then Talari appeared, striking the soldier with a crystal staff. She reached down to Elias. "You said we'd stand together," she said. "So we will." Elias took her hand. "Let's end this." The city held, but barely. Fires burned. The defenses were breaking. The Kaleri were brave, but the Xyrath were too many. Back at the command center, Linya screamed into the comm. "We need a miracle, Elias." Elias looked at the sky, thinking. "We might not get a miracle," he said, breathing hard. "But we have one shot." He turned to Rick. "We're taking the Sparrow. We're hitting their command ship." "You're insane," Rick said. "Maybe," Elias replied. "But it's our only chance." They looked at the burning city behind them. "If we don't stop Varnak now," Elias said, "we lose everything." The city burned behind them. Smoke curled into the sky. The Xyrath troops were closing in. Elias, Rick, and D1M ran through the narrow alleys toward the landing platform. The Sparrow, still intact, sat waiting with its engines on standby. Elias had one plan left, and it wasn't a good one. They'd reached the ship, breathless and bruised. "You're really going to fly this thing into a warship?" Rick asked, staring at Elias like he'd lost his mind. Elias nodded. "We don't have the firepower to win, but if we destroy their command ship, we break their coordination. We give the Kaleri a fighting chance." D1M beeped. "Success probability, 8.3%. Rick groaned. "Those are worse odds than the last poker game I lost." "Good," Elias said. "You're warmed up." Inside the ship, Elias took the pilot's seat. Rick sat at the weapons console. D1M plugged into the navigation system. Elias opened a channel to Talari in the city. "We're going up," he said. "When we hit that ship, push everything you've got. Hit them hard." Talari's voice came back, calm but firm. "You have our strength, Elias Merrick." The Sparrow lifted into the smoke-filled sky, engines roaring. The Xyrath command ship hovered high above the battlefield. It was massive, dark gray with glowing red lines running through its hull. Gun turrets turned as the Sparrow approached. "They see us," Rick said. Let them, Elias replied. Missiles flew toward them. Elias pulled the ship hard to the left. Explosions lit up the sky as they dodged fire. The Sparrow shook with each hit to the shields. Shields at 30%. D1M warned. Just get me close, Elias said, gripping the controls tighter. Back on the ground, Linya and Talari launched a full counterattack. The Kalari, inspired and fearless, pushed forward. Drones swarmed enemy lines. Fighters worked together in tight teams. They had become a true defense force. Talari stood at the front line, crystal staff in hand, leading her people. In the sky, the Sparrow broke through the outer defense line of the Zyreth ship. Now, Elias shouted. Rick activated the ship's self-destruct sequence, locking in the coordinates. We've got 90 seconds, Rick said, eyes wide. Elias hit the eject trigger for Rick and D1M. Get out. I'll guide it in. Rick grabbed his arm. You're not going alone. But Elias pushed him back. Someone has to fly it manual. The autonav isn't good enough. We only get one shot. The escape pod launched with a blast of compressed air. Rick and D1M spun away toward the surface. Inside the ship, Elias stayed calm. The control panel blinked red. Warning sounds echoed. He aimed straight for the center of the command ship. He thought of Earth, of the Kalari, of Talari's quiet strength, of the people who now believed in something more. Come on, he whispered. The command ship filled his view. The Sparrow struck. A white-hot explosion tore across the sky. Fire, light, silence. From the ground, everyone saw it. The command ship cracked in two, flames pouring out. Smaller Zyreth ships veered off course. Their lines fell apart. Linya gasped. He did it. Talari closed her eyes for a moment. Then she opened them. To all fighters, push forward. The final wave of the battle was fierce. But without leadership, the Zyreth faltered. The Kalari pressed forward, side by side with the humans. By nightfall, the last Zyreth ship retreated into the stars. The city was in ruins, but the people stood tall. They had survived. At sunrise, a small escape pod was found crashed in the hills. Inside, bruised and burned, but alive, Elias Merrick opened his eyes. Rick grinned down at him. Next time, let's not save the galaxy with just one ship. Elias laughed, weak but smiling. Next time, you're flying. The sun rose gently over the shattered skyline of Narration. Golden light touched the crystal towers, many of them cracked and scorched, but still standing. The battle was over. The Zyreth were gone. The Kalari had survived. In the center of the city, a new banner flew, woven with Earth's symbol beside the Kalari's. It was a simple image, but powerful. It told a story of unity. Elias Merrick walked slowly through the streets. His arm was in a sling, and a deep cut ran down his cheek, but he smiled as he passed the Kalari people. They bowed to him. Some reached out just to touch his shoulder. Their eyes glowed, not with fear, but with hope. Talari met him in the central plaza. She stood tall, her robes singed but clean. You returned from the fire, she said softly. Didn't want to miss the ending. Elias replied with a tired smile. You did more than save us, she said. You reminded us who we are, and showed us who we could be. Elias looked around at the rebuilding efforts, Kalari and humans working together, clearing rubble, repairing machines, planting new crops. You did this, he said. I just gave you time. Talari stepped closer. Stay. Help us build this future. Elias was quiet for a moment. I can't, he said. There's still more out there. More voices calling for help. I have to answer them. She nodded slowly. Then you will not walk alone. The Kalari will speak for others now. We will listen as you did. Back at the Sparrow's landing site, now a repair dock, Rick and Linya prepared the ship. It had been patched and rebuilt with Kalari materials. It looked different now. half human, half alien. Rick tightened a bolt on the hull. Next time we take on a galactic empire, can we at least have a second ship? Linnea rolled her eyes. You didn't die. Try being thankful. Elias arrived with D1M hovering beside him. Ship ready? Elias asked. Rick gave a thumbs up. Ready enough. Might rattle a bit on takeoff. Just like old times, Elias said. As they lifted off, a crowd gathered to watch. Kalari children waved. Elders placed their hands over their hearts. Telari raised a hand in farewell, her eyes glowing softly. The sparrow soared into the sky. From orbit, the planet looked beautiful, scared, but alive. Inside the ship, Elias sat in the pilot's seat, staring at the dark space ahead. Then a soft beep came from the console. A message. Encrypted. Unknown origin. Short. Please, if anyone hears this, we need help. Elias leaned forward. Location. To 1M displayed the coordinates. A system near the edge of the Varan Rift. Uncharted territory. Rick looked over. Are we answering that? Elias didn't hesitate. Yes. He opened a channel. This is Elias Merrick, Earth Envoy. We hear you. We're coming. The stars stretched before them as the sparrow jumped to light speed.